We are back with your favorite show, the League of the Genuine Conversations, with me, your host, Fred Mwema. For a difference, we are here in Nairobi City, Kenya. A special welcome to our Kenyan viewers, those who follow us from here. We are here because the Anti-Counterfeit Network has been hosted by the Anti-Counterfeit Authority of Kenya, the body that fights counterfeits here. We have been in a meeting to deepen our working relationship and collaboration on the fight against counterfeits, because counterfeits are cross-border. If they're counterfeits in Kenya, they can affect Uganda and vice versa. So to join me on this conversation this evening is none other than the Executive Director stroke Chief Executive Officer of the Anti-Counterfeit Authority of Kenya. Join me in welcoming Dr. Robbie Njoroge. I'll not pronounce the other name. Dr. Robbie, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Fred, for having me.
We cannot continue with this program without congratulating you as our brothers here in Kenya for having a successful election. You have a new president,
Sure.
His Excellency President Ruto. I would like you to know that we were so gratified as fellow East Africans that this went peacefully, because as the largest economy in the region, if you sneeze, we catch a cold. So we start just right from there. With the new administration that has come in government, is the Anti-Counterfeit Authority expecting more of the same, or are you expecting better? Do you have an idea whether this term we shall see more action or less action in the fight against counterfeits?
Thank you very much, and I also wish to congratulate my president, His Excellency William Ruto, after assuming office, and his Kenya Kwanza team that is very vibrant, and I can say that we expect more, because when you talk about Kenya Kwanza manifesto, it's talking about Kenya first, that the consumers of Kenya need to be taken care of, that the manufacturers of Kenyans need to have the interest at heart. So I believe that with Kenya Kwanza government in place, we expect more, a robust conversation, a lot of support from the government, and the president has already shown his willingness of assisting the youth, of assisting Kenyans even to get employed. And I believe that one can only be done if we promote genuine, if we promote the real things, not fakes, and ensuring that the interests of Kenyans are taken first and foremost, whether it is in terms of the product that they are consuming, whether it's the machineries they're using, the cars that they're driving on the road, the health interest, the economic interest, and all that.
You are new in this job of Executive Director of the Anti-Counterfeit Authority. Before we go into the deep end, it's a nice job, it's an easy job, is it difficult?
I would say that it's a good job. I would not say that it is a simple or a hard job, but the job that I like doing, since I have been in the intellectual property field for quite a while now. Before joining this organization, I was working with the Kenya Association of Music Producers, where we are protecting the right of musicians, particularly the right of producers. So it's a good job, and also it's not an easy one, because the issue of counterfeiting is quite prevalent in this region, particularly in Kenya, and I believe so is a menace that is also exhibiting itself in Uganda and other parts of the African continent, because most of our countries are net importers. We import goods.
Consumer goods.
Yes, consumer goods.
Okay, for somebody hearing about the Anti-Counterfeit Authority for the first time, they would like to know what your mandate is.
So the mandate of Anti-Counterfeit Authority is very clear, stipulated in the Act, that is Anti-Counterfeit Act of 2008. The first one is to create awareness on counterfeiting product among the consumers. so that we let consumers of the dangers that are inherent in the consumption of counterfeited goods. That is the first mandate. The second mandate is to combat the actions of counterfeiting in all its manifestations within the Kenyan borders. And that one we have been given that responsibility by the statute. That enables us to do enforcement, doing surveillance, understanding what is within the market, and taking action. The other one is also to do research into the area of counterfeiting and advising the Cabinet Secretary on appropriate measures that the government need to take, including in terms of policy formulation, so that you can have policies that are pro-trade, that policies that speak to the issues of the consumers, the right owners, that is IPR owners, and other stakeholders. So those are some of the mandates of the authority.
Those are some of the mandates. I heard you speak in our meeting that Kenya is among the maybe 2 or 3 African countries that have in their constitution a right to protect the intellectual property of Kenyans or people that are operating here.
Yes.
Does it therefore appear that it's not enough to create a law to protect intellectual property or to fight against counterfeits? Do we need to do more? Because we might want to follow it in Uganda and just create a law. Does the existence of the law alone stop this vice from growing on the market?
So my experience, and we have rightly put it, that Kenya is one of the few countries in Africa to have enshrined the protection of IP right in their constitution. Ours is found in Article 40, subsection 5, which requires our government to support, promote, and protect the intellectual property rights of the people of Kenya. The other constitutions I mentioned is Tunisian and Egyptian constitutions. They have also enshrined that. And we have also a number of laws in Kenya that deals with intellectual property rights. We have Copyright Act, we have Industrial Property Act, we have Anti-counterfeit Act, among others. But this one does not mean that we have completely eradicated the issues of counterfeiting, because when the formulators of law, we have what we call the spirit and the letter of the law.
Yes.
The law is there as it is. Now what needs to be done is about the spirit, and that's why we are calling upon the consumers themselves, before they consume those goods, they need to ascertain whether they are real products or they are products that can make their health at risk. They can put their health at risk. And if it's like the manufacturers, they have the responsibility also of gathering intelligence and sharing with us that form of information that will enable us to combat the illicit trade. So I may say that law is there, yes, but law need to be backed up by certain strategies, including behavioral change of the consumers, ensuring that the consumers plus the law plus the owners of IPR, all of them, they can combine in one unison way
to make one effort.
Yes.
But from the meeting again,
yes,
discussing with your team,
yes,
it appeared that sometimes the consumers in Kenya, in Uganda, in East Africa, in Africa, they resist efforts to fight counterfeits. Yes. And yet counterfeits are actually supposed to promote their well-being. Anti-counterfeit measures are a public good.
Yes.
Why do you think the consumers are objecting sometimes to these efforts? They look at it negatively. Is there something that is not being done adequately to get them to actually buy in?
Thank you very much, Fred, for that. I think one of the issues that may affecting the consumers in Kenya and other regions, particularly within African, one I'll call the issue of differentiation, that our consumers are unable to differentiate between the real and a fake product in the market. That is a big issue. That
Does that apply to consumers
yes,
who knowingly
yes,
because there is knowing consumption of counterfeit and
Yes.
unknowing.
Yes.
A large section of them
Yeah.
will go and look out for the fake.
Yes, because of issues of affordability. Maybe because they are unable to afford the real product in the market, but they are told that we have got 3 versions. If I wanted to buy a phone, for instance, you are told that this version A is costing this much. It's a bit expensive, and sometimes they are told that this is for the European market. But for African market, we have this. Yet whatever you are being given is the fake one. So the issues of affordability. What are you able to afford? So this person, if the real product is costing at maybe Kenya shillings 10,000, and this consumer have got only 2,000 to spend, he is willing to go and spend that 2,000 with
Are
a
you
fake
suggesting that if, genuine products are for the rich and the poor have been condemned to fake products?
No. What I'm saying is that the counterfeiters themselves. One, I would say counterfeiters, because they are bringing a cheaper product, which now distort the market forces. That would be one.
It will outcompete the genuine.
Yes.
It can do almost the same function.
Yes.
And so the consumer will not see the need to go to an expensive option.
Yes.
But at the ACN, we believe that cheap things are expensive.
Sure.
Counterfeits are expensive in the long run. You buy a shoe for your child, they go to school, before the term ends, the shoe is open like a fish.
Sure.
So your message, since your first obligation or mandate is to sensitize the consumer, this Kenyan consumer, this Ugandan consumer, this African consumer listening to you, what is your message to them in respect of this sensitive thing of price? What are you telling them? I'm
telling them that you have lightly put it. You are very apt when you say that cheap is expensive, because there are dangers inherent in those cheap products, because there is no safety. Then it exposes the consumers to grave dangers. For instance, our roads today, they are replete with accident. I think there are statistics I had last week is that over 3,000 Kenyans have died on the roads. Now in the
every year?
No, we from January to the month of
August, September.
Yes, 3,000.
3,000 on the roads.
On the roads, and that means that by the end of December, I don't know how many people will have lost their lives. But once you look at some of these accidents, maybe the brake pads, the tires, some of them are fake.
The oils, yes.
Or the oils.
But are we even investigating this as a cause, the cause of accidents, being counterfeits? Do we even know?
No, we are not doing that. But I think where I sit as a CEO of Anti-Counterfeit, that is something that we have put in our strategy this year, so that we are able to come up with the research that are data-driven, that can inform the policymakers, so that in future we are able to arrest some of these issues. We have also talked about the issues of drugs that are in the market. You have heard of the concept called placebo, that you're just going to take a concoction that is not going to have any effect in your body. Either you have deaths arising as a result of that,
injuries,
yes, so many other things as a result of consumption of fake
counterfeits. Yes. Doctor, we need to take a break. We started with the consumer. I would like us to transit into the brands now.
All right.
Their responsibility in the fight against counterfeits, and we do the IP recordation, a very good innovation that you are doing to fight against counterfeits. We are back with the second segment of our League of the Genuine conversations. Like we did promise, we shall be expanding our programming to go outside Uganda. So for a change, we are here at ACA Hotel in Nairobi City, Kenya, where I'm having an interview with the Executive Director / CEO of the Anti-Counterfeit Authority. Now, we broke off when we were talking about the role of brands in fighting counterfeits. Is this new scheme you have of IP recordation targeting to improve the participation of brands in the fight against counterfeits?
Precisely, because what we are targeting is that all the brands or trademarks that traders intend to import into Kenya must be recorded with the authority. That is per the law, that is Section 34B of Anti-Counterfeit Authority. So this is something that has been in existence, and now what we are doing is implementing it, and we have developed even regulations to this effect.
For it. How is it done? Does an importer, for example, of goods into Kenya,
yes,
open the container and then tells you that this is the product and it has this trademark, for example? Because many of the imported products have foreign-owned trademarks. So where does the importer get authority to record a trademark that does not belong to them?
What I mean is that, for instance, if those who intend to trade in Kenya, whether they are foreigners, they need to register with authority that product X belongs to me and it will be coming into Kenyan market, and this is a sample of the product X, so that you are given, so that by the time when you're inspecting goods at the port of entry, we're able to ascertain that this is not the genuine product, because assuming it's coming with a similar name, it's recorded with us, maybe HP printers, we're able to go and say that this is not what was recorded with us. So that now it will be upon the importer or the purported importer to say that it is genuine or not, and then we are also able to contact the real owners of those IP. What I need to mention here is that IP in Kenya, I know you know this principle of territoriality.
Yes.
When it
operates in a territory.
Yes.
But Kenya, Uganda.
But when it comes to IP and anti-counterfeiting, we defy so many international conventions on this, so that we protect even things that are not beyond our borders, as long as they have been brought to our attention that this belongs to me. And that's what we intend to do, because we intend to remove or do away, eradicate people who are importing certain goods into the country without the authority of the owners.
That was my next question.
Yes.
Because there are certain trademark owners who sell their products not through representatives in a territory, but you can go to a place like Hong Kong, you want to buy Tiger Head batteries, they'll sell to you and bring here. Now that
one is parallel importation. We don't deal with parallel importation, because once you look at a parallel imported goods, it might be the Tiger. Once you look at it from here, it's still the same brand. So we are not dealing with that.
So the IP recordation,
yes,
allows parallel importation or not? Parallel importation meaning,
yes, that
there is a registered representative
of a
brand.
We have a separate regime that deal with that. So for us, we don't deal with parallel importation.
But if I'm a parallel importer of
yes,
Tiger Head batteries,
yes,
do you require me to do IP recordation?
Presumption is that that parallel Tiger is already recorded with us. If it's recorded with us, it will go to end up with at that point in time, because we are not looking at we're imagining there is another person who already registered that brand. So that
and
now
you're encouraging monopoly. Isn't Kenya a liberalized economy?
That's what I'm saying.
Goods are free to move.
That's what I'm saying. That issue of parallel importation is dealt with by the different body, not ourselves.
Oh.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. For us is to ensure that if it is the issue of recordation, we only look at the proper registered trademarks and brands, which are supposed to be imported into Kenya. Because as I said, Kenya is a net importer country, and it means that we have to protect the interests of the consumers at every given opportunity.
One of the issues around the IP recordation might be, I'm just thinking, that it is another form of over-regulation. Because already this trademark that you want recorded, if it is foreign, it might be registered in Harare with Aripo. And you know the law on that is that a registration in Aripo might secure you in the whole continent. I know it is territorial, you may still have to come and register in Kenya, Uganda. That is the first point, that there is already information captured on this trademark. You have it. And if it's not registered in Aripo, it's registered here in Nairobi, for example, as a trademark. So somebody might argue that isn't it double work to again require a recordation when the trademark office, you call it KPI, when it already has the information about this brand? Why do I record something that you have as a government through another agency?
So this is particularly ACA exists for purposes of trade, because what we want to ensure that, remember, we are saying yes, who is that enforcement agency? Because KIPI is not an enforcement agency.
KIPI is what?
That is Kenya Industrial Property, the one that registers trademarks.
Kenya Industrial Property.
They don't enforce. Okay. They register. They give that. But now the organization that is charged with that responsibility of enforcing, of even saying that this is being infringed in our own motion, because you can bring a complaint to us, that's number one, but also we can use what we call suo motu. In our own motion, we can say that this product is being infringed. And I think once we are able to do recordation, that is going to give impetus on our suo motu operations, saying that yes, this has been infringed. Remember, we are saying we are here to create awareness on counterfeiting, to protect the consumers, because we are here for protecting the consumers.
So how do we tackle this issue, for example? Some unscrupulous importers make false declarations about the imports. They declare product A, whereas it is product B. So if you are going to record the product as it comes in, even on a false declaration, aren't you going to fail to achieve the objective of fighting counterfeits? How do you sieve the first false record that you might be given from the genuine?
Yeah, because we also at the point of entry, we are able to do inspections, and through that inspection we are able to verify and ascertain whether something has been counterfeited or not. At that point, that's when we are going to act.
Oh, so it is not just recording whatever the importer gives you.
No, we have also
it is also verifying.
Yes, yeah, we are also going to verify whether that has been imported is what we have in our database,
and whether it is what you claim it to be.
Yes, yes, that's going to be done, and we have been doing this.
Again, in the fear of over-regulation or duplication of services, I know that for goods that are imported in the East African region, there is a verification account that is taken by the customs for goods that come into the market. Now, one might wonder, why don't you capture this information on the trademark recordation through customs, through the verification account? Which verification account will also give
We are doing that. We are doing that already. We have what we call Kenya One Window through KenTrade. That way we are automating this system, so that whenever the trader they want to import, they are just going to import using one system. If there are any fees that are going to be loaded, they'll be loaded into that one system.
That one system.
Single window, yes. It's called single window that Kenya has already implemented, and it seeks to make the importation of goods much cheaper, faster. And I think this is a multi-sector approach.
That is the point I was looking for.
Already
the IP recordation, whereas you pretend over it as ACA, it is multi-sector approach, agency approach. Actually.
Yes. That one is already there. Yeah.
We have a situation of goods coming in transit through Kenya, go to Uganda or Congo, and they come back again to Kenya. Is the IP recordation going to also record goods in transit?
No, we are not recording, but that is something that we can always have an engagement with partners like yourselves and other countries. And that's why from here, the next steps is once we do it, we need now to engage with the East African partner state through the relevant ministries because as you know, we have East Africa Customs Management Act, which has already recognized counterfeiting as one of the prohibited goods within the East African region. So it means that even if our partner states do not have this type of a system, it's high time now to join hands so that together we are going to achieve more by having a similar initiative within the region.
Are you finding challenges with the East African partner states in fighting counterfeits? Is there a unified approach to fighting counterfeits, or Kenya is doing something else and Uganda is doing something else?
I think that's a very good question, Fred. And my answer to that is that we don't have a unified approach in the fight against counterfeit within the East African region. And I think it's high time, as we move now toward the next frontier. When you look at the East African Vision 2030, it's very clear on what it intends to achieve by the year 2050 for the partner state within the East African region. One of them is issues of manufacturing. And we can't achieve much if we do not adopt a unified system of tackling issues relating to IPR and counterfeiting. The other thing is that I've also mentioned about the East African Community Customs Management Act, which now binds all member states within the single custom union. And this custom union does recognize that counterfeiting is a menace that need to be tackled by all the other countries. So what we will be asking other countries in the region is to have a unified approach, maybe enacting legislation within their territories to this effect, and even more so, if we are able to have even an authority in Uganda, so to be cooperating with it in Tanzania, in Rwanda,
in
DRC, Southern Sudan, and having a caucus so that we can be caucusing as entities, so that we can exchange information, exchange intelligence, come up with issues to do with the research that can inform this. And we make East African the best foreign investment destination.
200 million people now with the DRC joining. We have had issues of blockade, trade blockade. Sometimes Kenya is refusing to take Ugandan eggs, Ugandan maize. Sometimes Tanzania is also blocking Kenyan goods. Do you think counterfeits have a role to play in these disputes, these trade disputes and blockade? Is it because of counterfeit that sometimes you reject goods from another state?
Probably that's at another level within the Ministry of East African Community. I think they're able to address that matter more comprehensively. I believe that they have what it takes to that. I may not be able to mention so much on that.
Who do you think is the biggest contributor to counterfeiting culture? Is it the consumer? Is it the brand? Is it the regulator, in your view? As you're answering that, can you comment on what is the biggest driver of counterfeiting under the Dankani model that we're explaining to you? But who do you think is to blame most? Consumer, brand, or regulator?
I think consumer. Because consumer is willing to purchase any product that comes, anything goes. So it means that he is the biggest driver. Because
we are all consumers.
Yes, all of us are consumers.
So we are to blame.
We are to blame. Okay. Because if you are willing to buy something that is counterfeited, that gives impetus to the counterfeiter to make profit out of it, to exploit the situation. Because you know that if I go out and do or manufacture this type of product, it has got a ready market. And what is the counterfeiter looking for? Is looking for profit. The end justifies the mean. So that is one. The other one also definitely will be the manufacturer himself.
The brand.
Because manufacturers, they have not invested enough in terms of educating the consumers. So even by the time when they are doing their advert, they can spend
them about
billions in terms of advertising for their product, but they will do very little in collaborating with organizations like ours or yours
to fight the menace
in fighting counterfeiting. so that you say that yes, you can consume this brand, but once you do this type of product is safe for use, and you go ahead and communicate these, create awareness to the
community from
yes,
the buyers.
to the consumers.
From my experience, some brands, some foreign, some local, are reluctant to actually do enforcement measures. Do you have the same experience here?
Yes, some of them, because they are fearing a backlash in terms of consumption of their goods. Because
But is that justified?
It's not justified. They have more obligation of telling the consumers that this is our genuine product. If you want to consume our product, even if it's, for instance, a soft drink or food product or apparel, they need to come out. Once they come out, like the way they are being done in other part of the world, that's how we are able to
But
fight
doctor, don't
this.
you think it's not just a moral obligation on the brand to educate the consumer? Because the consumer has a right to know what they are consuming. They
Yes.
need adequate information.
Yes.
That is what the consumer protection law says.
Yes.
And that's why here in Africa, we don't have product recalls. They will recall a Samsung S7 that it's banning, but you're busy using it here in Kenya.
So
The
I think
brands don't care. Isn't it a legal obligation?
that is, I think, a moral and legal obligation, because we look at our constitution, Article 46 is on consumer protection. Actually, we have also enshrined the issues of consumer protection in our law, in our constitution. But as you are saying, the owners of these products, the people who own and who manufacture some of these products, I also believe that they have the obligation, and they should be also be forced, like the way you're talking of product recall. They need also to be told that if this type of a product is not good, you need to recall it off the market.
And inform the consumers.
And inform
don't
the
recall
consumers.
it quietly.
Yes, because out of that, they are also going to invest more in fighting counterfeit. They are told to recall something that is not theirs. So that you're being told to recall.
But it has their name.
Yes.
And they were given a trademark registration for the territory of Kenya.
Yes.
That this particular trade name
Yes.
distinguishes this product from others.
That's why they need now to invest more in the intelligence gathering, understanding, and collaborating with the government agencies like Anti-counterfeit.
But doctor, you're
authority.
telling brands which
Yeah.
are making a lot of losses, and you'll tell us what the figures are. What is the loss to the economy, to brands, to government? These people are losing a lot of money, and then you're telling them to invest more when they are making losses. Is that an argument you can counter?
Yes, it's an argument.
And what's the loss in Kenya, for example?
It's an argument that I can counter, because they'll continue losing, because if products that they are purporting, or rather whatever is genuine, is not getting to the market, it means that the government is unable to raise revenues that is required. The company's profit will dip, and they're unable to sustain themselves in terms of operations. And this other amount of money can even go to other uses like terrorism. That's why I'm saying is something that we need to look at it critically, because if you don't do it, then we
lose. So there is a bigger loss to the brand
Yes.
by not participating in anti-counterfeit measures.
That's true.
Than when they participate, because
That's
eventually they will be wiped out
That's true.
from the market.
That's true.
And the argument again also by the brands as we close, I know you're going, is that the governments are busy taxing counterfeit products on the market, that it is counterproductive to say we go in the market to fight the fakes when the government is collecting taxes on counterfeits.
Yes, because I think that we need now to have a policy change on that. In that, if we are going to have products that are counterfeited, assuming that we have some product like food items in our shelves, supermarket shelves, and people consume it, then it poses danger in terms of health. Then the government, the money that they are taxing, they will be spent on public health once again. And actually, you are going to overspend it. It means that once a family loses a breadwinner, what is the
economic
of that?
Productivity goes
in terms of the social impact?
Yes.
We have so many kids who do not have the breadwinners. They're in the street. In terms of the social protection, in terms of the political situation, and so many other things. So that we are going to have a meltdown as a result of this. So it's always good to ensure that we do not allow some of these things because they have hidden outcomes that are more dangerous to the country in the
Doctor, comment on your collaboration with the Anti-Counterfeit Network. What are you hoping to do with them?
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to collaborating with the Anti-Counterfeit Network of Uganda in a number of ways. One is information sharing. We want to share information with your team. Number two is on the issues of capacity building. We want to build capacity with your organization, as well as sharing that information with one another. And the other one will be in the areas of research, because so that we can come up with concrete figures that can inform decision making within the East African region. And above all, to eliminate counterfeiting in the region, including Kenya and Uganda.
A counterfeit-free East Africa. And consumer engagement, are consumers important in the collaboration?
Yes, very, very important, like knowing the consumer behaviors. And I think that is something that we are going to pick it up with you to ensure that this one is done as we move forward.
Doctor, thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. We need to let you go for your next assignment. But our viewers here in Kenya and elsewhere in Africa, thank you for the support. Remember to subscribe, to join. We need your support to do this. Don't be fake. Buy and sell genuine, always.